quiet seaside town, an evil laid to rest centuries ago, has risen. An abandoned fortress deep in the swamp holds a secret that could save the village or destroy it. Now, a band of adventurers sets out to dig up the wounds of the past and bring the light of day to the roots of ruin. This is Tabletop Gold.
Friends, and welcome to Tabletop Gold, episode 60. Is it 69 tonight?
68.
No, it's 68.
Yeah.
69
is 23 three times.
That's true. Get ready for that. We're going to have a special three-time celebration next time. It's going to be great. But she did say something like that. But for now, what's going to happen is I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Lars Casteen. Welcome to this show. Let's meet everybody else gathered tonight to play our game of Pathfinder 2nd Edition, playing through the Abomination Vaults thing. Robin Lange is here.
Hello. Tonight I think I'm going to be Robin Skull. Have I been Robin Skullcrusher yet?
Robin Skullcrusher? I don't think so.
There we go. Robin Skullcrusher. Yep.
A very intimidating name. I will think twice when crossing you, but I will not think twice when introducing our Matt Humphreys.
Hello.
Hi.
Good that
Zoe
time.
Chernicoff is here.
I am. Hello. Hi. Good that time to all of you.
Good that time. And David, the Tin Man Chernicoff, is here as well.
Good that time, everybody.
So we are jumping into this episode without much of a sense of what it is that we're going to be chatting about right now. I don't want this podcast to become a hat podcast, but I would like to share a story with you today.
But today's not the day to make that switch.
Good.
No, we're gonna. It's good hat time to everybody. Okay, so if you've been listening to this podcast, and I'll get this done with very, very quickly. If you've been listening to this podcast, you know that because of shame that I feel about my large Scandinavian forehead, that I wear a New York Yankees hat around my neighborhood, which is Mets country. Today was my child's first day of what they call here 3K, which is like a publicly funded 3-year-old pre-K deal.
It's free? That's free.
It's free.
What?
In New York City.
New York City turns out is a cool place. Thumbs up to New York City. I had a great, so today was the first day. I went into this classroom for an hour and a half for this orientation day, just hanging out with my child while he was, playing with dinosaurs and hearing stories and dancing and stuff like that. Honestly, one of the best things I've done. I'm not complaining about that at all.
Seems pretty great.
Yeah, it just
sounds lovely.
It's the kind of environment where you're meeting a lot of new people who are looking for a way to strike up a conversation with you. Is there anything distinctive about this person that I might have in common with them?
Right, exactly.
If only he had a giant forehead that I could remark upon.
Well, I guess I was wearing my hat. I wonder, when I was in school, you definitely were not allowed to wear hats inside. I wonder if the teachers were seething at me the entire time. I will say that I was the only adult that stayed behind for this adults should stay behind day.
What?
Everybody else, when talking to the teacher, were like, yeah, so I'm going to be back in an hour and a half. You got this under control.
This is a bunch of parents that have just been through COVID with small children, though, right? Everyone's like, an hour and a half, I could get like a chance to go to the bathroom by myself. Sold.
So this was just 3 teachers, 15 toddlers, and 1 6'5" dude.
Yeah, it was just me being a weirdo.
I love the image.
Yankees hat. And I had a great, it really was a wonderful time. I do imagine that the parents who left have a slightly more involved employment situation than I currently do and had slightly less time to kill than I do, perhaps, in their defense.
So they're less involved in their children's future.
Yeah.
Obviously,
They don't
yeah.
care.
Well, they're
they
more
don't
involved in that their children can afford a future in a way that my child probably will not be able to. But here's the situation. I walked out of the school with him being like, hey, that was great. We had fun dancing and doing the thing. And there was a guy doing work outside of the school wearing a baseball cap. And the moment that I registered, he's wearing an LA Dodgers hat. He yelled at me, hey, you look like a pitcher, like you pitch for the New York Yankees. And I was just like, I don't know what to do with
what do I
any of
say?
this. What do I say? So I told him, actually, I'm really bad at sports. And he looked so mad at me. That's my response.
We couldn't have just gone with like, that's right, sir. It's me, Garrett Cole. Like, come on over.
Well, I would have.
Let's snap a pic.
I think the most recent player on the New York Yankees would have been Don Mattingly. I think I would have said, like, it's me, Don Mattingly.
Famous current New York Yankees pitcher, Don Mattingly.
Okay, so I would have had 2 out of 3. Famous, yes. New York Yankees. Was he a pitcher or was he a baseball hitting man?
He was a hitting man, yeah.
He was a hitsman? Okay, well, I guess I didn't have 2 out of 3. I had 1 out of 3.
Well, he was a Yankee.
He was a Yankee, and he was famous.
I bet he could technically pitch insofar he was probably capable of throwing the ball over the plate at a speed.
That's David, as a noted baseball fan, is that all it takes to be a pitcher? Is that all you got to do? Because if so, I could probably do it.
No, that's the list. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh my God.
So I just wanted to share that story.
That's
because
awesome.
It's just like every time we have a recording day and I leave my home wearing a hat, something strange and there's always a social interaction that I whiff the response to. I fail to live up to my end of the conversation.
This is a question more about you being a particularly tall man. I feel like most of my tall friends, particularly male friends, have gone through so much of their life being told by others that they must be so good at sports because they're tall. Is that
for
something
sure.
you've experienced a lot?
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. I'm 6'6". People talk to me all the time. And that's the thing. People get mad. I think this is something that tall people know that other people don't. That it's not just that you get asked if you are good at sports. It's not just like, it's not the irritating repeated question. It's the follow-up anger and judgment and disappointment that hurts. That actually is like not fun. Is people like this guy
just do with a yes or
glowered at
no.
me.
Yeah.
I had a friend visiting from England, and we were at an art museum. And this guy is taller than you are, Lars, and very thick English accent. And we're at MoMA, and MoMA has this lovely, beautiful outdoor garden area with a bar, and he orders a glass of wine, and I get a glass of wine, and he's speaking in his very clearly British accent, and the guy behind the bar is like, "Oh man, you must play basketball." And my friend's like, "I don't even know what basketball is, man. I'm British." And the guy got like kind of upset. We're also like, we're in an art museum. Like, everything about this setting is so wrong. We're drinking wine in an art museum, and he has a British accent, and you're mad at him for not playing basketball.
I'm speculating about other people's speculation here, so I don't even know if there's a point to this remark. But like,
let's do it. Let's go.
Let's get it out
Let's
there.
dig deep on this. I'm ready.
But full speed ahead, everybody. It seems to me that these people, that what's happening is these are people who wish that they were this height, because if they were, then that's the thing they'd do with it. So they're like,
Right.
they're like, I, a person who sees a tall person and instantly thinks of basketball, would love to be tall enough to play basketball in that way. And the idea that that there's someone who could do it, who's chosen not to, is like boggling my mind, or on some level, like offending. I mean, it's like if you see a really good looking person and they're like, "Oh no, I don't date." Like, would you be like offended on your own behalf? I think I kind of understand the mechanism here, but it seems so presumptuous. It's like people who think they can just go up and touch pregnant women.
Oh.
It's like we're in the same zone here. Like, what is wrong with everyone?
The thing I want to say to that is the presumption that I could have been good at sports had I tried fails to come to grips with the fact that I tried for a really long time to get good at sports and failed. In Pathfinder terms, if you were to look at my ability scores, I would have around an 8 in dexterity, a 10 in strength, and like a 20 in
A
constitution.
94 constitution. That's right.
Yeah.
Hand-eye coordination is hard when you've got long limbs.
Yeah. And also when you have no talent and are bad at it.
But Lars, yeah, you can withstand a lot of
Like hot dogs. I can eat a lot of hot dogs.
Oh, competitive eating.
I probably could be something of I could probably do better than a lot. I wouldn't say that I could go pro. I'm not a Joey Chestnut over here.
That's the
few
name
are.
I was trying to remember. I was
But-
like, Joey
Chestnut.
Cupcake?
No, Joey
I'm no
Joey
Joey
Buttafuoco?
Cupcake.
like king among men.
Yeah, but I can probably eat more hot dogs than most. Well, friends, thank you for talking to me again about my hat. I appreciate it.
Good hat time.
Good hat time. Thank you, the four of you, for putting up with my nonsense. And also thank you to everybody who has left a review of Tabletop Gold at their podcast app of choice, like this review left by Optic on Apple Podcasts Thailand.
Ooh.
Oh.
And they say, crisp audio, excellent PCs. What's not to like, right? What's not to like?
I love it.
I can't think of something.
Thank you to Optic for leaving that review
Yes.
on Apple Podcasts Thailand. Can you believe that we are going that far afield?
To that
That's very
I say, good that Thai.
Oh,
Oh,
you
no.
devil, you. I love it.
Lars, I'll take the hero point once we get into the
Okay. The drops aren't working.
All
I can't
right.
get them to work. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
That's a fumble
My
card.
keyboard is broken.
You know,
Okay,
I'll get it next week then. That's fine.
let's do it. Let's play our game.
Yeah.
Your latest return trip to the town of Otari has taken you on some unexpected twists and turns. What started as the simple job of dropping a local criminal off at the town garrison has turned into a multi-front mission to assemble the iconic possessions of the heroes who founded this town nearly 500 years ago. So, while the light from Gauntlight shines insistently in the distance, you continue following the trail of a thief who's stolen the swordswoman Vol Rajani's cooperative blade. It's currently around 5:20 p.m. on Sunday, the 25th of Gazran. It's a cloudy and windy day. No need to go into
No dew point.
anything involving the dew. Again, no need. As I mentioned in the recap, you've spent this afternoon, I think, kind of unexpectedly tracking down these iconic possessions of the Rose Guard. You've gotten Zarmavdian's spellbook, Thresholds of Truth. You already had Otari Il Vashti's Thieves' Tools. You don't have anything from Asefna Menhemez. And on your investigation of who stole Vol Rajani's cooperative blade from the Dawnflower Library, you've discovered that Carmen Rajani did not open his shop today, and that he used to spend time as a young person at a location outside of town known as the Smuggler's Refuge. We're picking up a scene right now with Norman and Vadim, both, I think, in detective costumes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of hats,
I
Checks
think
out.
Vadim has borrowed some of Norman's disguise kit in order to make this happen, but he's all in.
I don't want to say it's a Sherlock and Watson vibe, but
I mean, if it
It's not
suggests
bad.
itself, right?
I'm just stuck on the idea of, and this for me is Norman is Holmes and Vadim is Watson. I'm not sure that's actually but or is it? They both seem like Watson to me.
well, I guess we don't know, right? It's unaddressed.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to keep seeing what's happening to find out. But here's the deal. It's 5:20, like I said before, and you've just heard from this guy who thinks that Carmen is, that guy's such a joke. And this other guy who knows that he spends time at the smuggler's refuge. And that's sort of the information that you're getting from these two. You are standing in Crook's Nook. It's 5:20, happy hour. And things are starting to loosen up a little bit. People are starting to get a little rowdy. What are you guys going to do next?
Have we figured out where the smuggler's refuge is?
I don't think either one of you would know that. Like, I don't think that Vadim would know where this location is, and I don't think Norman would either.
So Norman casts about, Yin Yasmer has sort of foisted them off on the two who just gave them the info that they got. He says to Vadim, I think we gotta find where this smuggler place is. Who here seems like they know what's up? And he's sort of like scanning around to see if anyone's doing business or like.
So it's like you look around the room and there are guys like throwing knives into this dartboard.
Poke tattooing each other on the arm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it's just like a scene of absolute chaos in this bar. And Yin Yasmara is just staring you dead in the eye. Like the only pair of eyes that meets you. And she is just following your gaze the entire way. Like if you were to try to look at anything else, she is looking dead at you. You get the sense that she has put something together about your investigation.
Norman waves jovially.
And she steps under the bar and walks over towards you, her green cloak trailing behind her. And she says to Norman, I can't help but notice that you came in asking about a theft at the Dawnflower Library. And now you're talking with these fellows here about Carmen Rajani. Well, this, if he is responsible, is the last straw. Carmen's a sad story, and I've done what I can do to try to help him get on his feet, but you were right when you came in before. If he's just doing crimes outside of the order created by the Osprey Club, I can't really look the other way. It would be unfair to all of these enterprising business people here.
Independent contractors, I'm sure.
Yes, they're not on payroll necessarily. They are.
Freelancers.
They are all freelancers. Thank you, freelancers. I tried to have patience with Carmen after what happened with his parents, and I tried to take him in, give him free drinks here and there, teach him some of the trade, look after him.
His parents, yeah, that was awful. Sad.
It was
sad,
awful.
Just disappointing. What part of it did you find? When did it reach rock bottom?
Well, I think it started at rock bottom when his parents were murdered by bandits on the way back from Absalom.
That's a low point for sure, but you sure it didn't get any lower, like later on when...
Oh, for him?
Yeah.
Oh, certainly, yes. Thank you for asking. Absolutely. His inheritance ran out, he took on a lot of debt, and he had to find some cash from somewhere other than that smithy. He started hustling my customers at the knife-throwing board. He got really good at it. We started calling him the Ace of Blades. But a couple of the folks around here, and she motions at the two men that you were just speaking to, got drunk and got in a fight with him and told him he was wasting his life. So, he decided to reclaim his family name and he started running for mayor against Noseph as a way of proving that the Rajani family is just as good as the Menhemez family. He lost.
Yeah, no, obviously. He'd be a terrible politician. I've only met him a few times, and that seems clear.
Yeah, the second time he ran, though, he had nothing to say except for personal insults pointed at Noseph.
That could be catchy. People like that.
No, he lost again.
What was the meanest thing he said? What was that campaign slogan? I feel like I've seen a few of those old yard signs around, but it was...
He's not a clever man. It was Noseph, Noseph.
That's a pretty bad slogan, I have to be honest.
didn't convince a lot of voters. They thought he went negative too soon. I was hoping for an October surprise. It never happened. So after he lost the second time, he got completely out of control. He started getting into fights all the time. And then he hit rock bottom. For the first time.
This was, aside from the murdered by bandits initial kind of landing in a rocky area, then he really went down. No. What was it that happened again?
Well, then he straightened his act out after he hit rock bottom. And he ran a third time. He really put his heart into it, telling everyone what he was going to do for the community this time. And he lost again.
That was the one where he wanted to give everyone in Otari, it was a free, what was it that he was going to give them?
He was going to give them a pony, is what he promised. He said he was going to give them a pony.
A free pony. I'm surprised that didn't catch on, honestly. It kind of gets my heart going pitter-patter. Vadim, when you want a pony, should we get a pony? Is he still doing it? Will he still give you a pony? It's off.
No. Absolutely not. Because
anymore.
The fourth time he ran.
No horses on Kortos.
That's right. The ponies all got eaten by harpies. It was a
blow.
bloodbath.
Spent all his campaign finances on importing them.
He was leading in the polls, and then all the horses got.
Yeah, he got the October surprise that time.
I believe you mean Lamachan surprise?
The Lamachan, yes. Thank you. Are you here? No.
No.
Be quiet.
Rabin's just being pedantic.
The fourth time he ran, he was just trying to bribe people and blackmail them into voting for him. That didn't work. He lost again. And to make matters worse, at the celebration party that Noseph threw that time, Noseph stood up in front of the whole town and wore Rajani's damn family blade as part of his little costume.
Oh.
So Carmen's been obsessed ever since. He's trying to buy that blade, harassing Noseph constantly. It's a whole thing. It's a mess. A man like him gets down in a hole, and it seems like the only thing he knows how to do is dig.
You wouldn't happen to be able to tell us where the smuggler's refuge was, would you?
Yeah, that's a good idea. If he stole that sword, you're probably going to find him at the smuggler's refuge. And she gives you directions to a spot about an hour north of town. She says, it's north of an old fishing camp. A lot of entrepreneurs have used it over the years to stage regional distribution of their more exotic merchandise.
Ponies, right. Got it.
It's a pony graveyard up there.
And you think he's likely to be there?
If he stole it, it's a place that he spent a lot of time as a young person.
They probably printed a lot of his yard signs.
Yeah, that's right. He convinced a bunch of teens to paint signs for him.
Noseph, Noseph, ponies for all. I'll pay you to vote for me. Each slogan.
You've seen them.
Yeah.
You're a student of politics, I see.
If we go up there, is there, we fit in pretty well. I know you've seen us blending in with the crowd, but is there a password or anything we can do to make sure we're good with anyone there?
I'd be surprised if there were anybody there aside from Carmen. At this point, I suppose the only password you need is to be careful and not get seen.
And Norman, throws his cape over his head. Where'd it go? Throws it back. Here I am.
You were there.
That's right. And now I'm not. And then he storms out of or not storms, but sweeps out of Crooksnook.
Thank you so much, Esmera. I should probably go with Norman. It's best not to leave him too unsupervised. Vadim turns and follows Norman.
And you are now back out on the street in front of the on the bridge that Crooksnook is built on top of, and it's right around 5:30 in the afternoon.
We'd have to go an hour north of town.
Yes, and Mag and Trill are both still working on Vadim's armor.
Tink.
So
Tink.
Vadim has no armor on right now.
Tink.
Well, now I feel selfish. I wish I'd known about this before. Perhaps we should go first thing in the morning.
And I think what Mag and Trill would want us to do tonight is go have a round at Crow's Cask. I mean, they wouldn't want us not having fun. It'll make them sad to find out that we just went to bed.
You know, Norman, when you raise an excellent point, you raise an excellent point.
Yeah.
First round's on me.
So Norman and Vadim spend the rest of the evening enjoying Magaloy's delightful, if not maybe a little oversweet, alchemical concoctions.
Norman, you've got to try this one. You've got to try this one. It's so good.
Oh my God, the ice cube is changing colors.
What? No.
What?
Oh my God.
It's like 2 11-year-olds getting drunk.
And we're going to pick up at 11 p.m. This has been, for Mag, this has been an incredibly long day. You have been working a solid, 8 hours, just tink, as you were saying, after like a morning of confronting the ghost of Otari, getting attacked by Cairn Whites, fighting a bunch of disembodied, like this day has been quite a day.
Yeah. Well, Mag has broad shoulders.
So Trill is performing the entire time to try to ease the way for Mags.
Trill's got some background music going and, telling some stories. So then, the captain of the boat says, "That's not an octopus. That's my mother."
I see. It's a play on words.
I'm imagining that this punchline came after literally 5.5 hours of setup. Like, I'm imagining the entire time it has been this joke.
Right.
And, and then he dropped me off in Absalom, and that's how I got to the Isle of Kortos.
Let's get a performance check from Trill to see how successfully this has helped Mag focus on her crafting.
I see. So the performance wasn't like a soothing focus, like a lo-fi girl type focus jam. It was an incredibly long, drawn out story about exactly how Trill arrived in Otari.
While she plays on her lute the whole time, yeah. And that was an 18.
And that's a failure. I feel like living up to the story that we've told. So Trill has neither helped nor hindered Mag on this crafting check. So David, you can, at the end of this 8-hour day of work, you can go ahead and give me a crafting check. This is a level 5 rune that you are transferring, meaning that you need to beat a 20 on your check.
Oh.
Otherwise, the potency rune is going to stay on this chain shirt.
Yeah, my roll was really bad.
Right. And sorry, what did we say the dew point was today?
I think it's an H.
Yeah.
All right, so Mag is definitely pretty sweaty at this point.
Oh, yeah. The dew is just being sucked right out of you by this aggressive dew point.
Yeah, that's also how that works. 14 on the roll for a 22.
Woo! Woo!
And just like that, you've spent 16 gold pieces worth of materials, and Vadim is now going to be able to wear a +1 leather armor.
And that is the most productive 8 hours, not just of Mag's, but of David's since we last recorded the show.
Mag, that's some beautiful work.
Thank you, Trill.
I think you definitely deserve a drink after this. Should we go to Crow's Cask? Maybe Vadim will be there.
I appreciate the thought. I think what I need more even than camaraderie at this hour is rest. It's been one of the longer days, and that was even before hearing your story.
It was quite the tale, wasn't it?
Dizzying.
So it sounds like Trill is maybe heading over to Crow's Casks.
Yeah, I think Mag is not. I mean, not in like an antisocial way, but Mag is an introvert. She's going to need some recharge time. I think everyone can go have fun.
Wait, is it the kind of situation where you thought that 8 hours of hammering this armor was going to be that recharge time, and then it was not?
Right, exactly.
Because as an introverted person, anytime a person comes on the subway with me, it's like, well, time for me to just not be alive for the next hour and a half.
Right, and like an 8 hour sort of physical therapeutic crafting project. If you're the kind of person who retreats into that sort of pursuit in order to restore your energy, the thing you love the most in the world is being observed while you do it.
Right.
Oh, I totally get
Absolutely.
it. This, I'm with Mag on this. This would be living hell for me to have Trill with me while I did something like Mag was doing.
It's so funny to think about 4 or 5 hours of like really focusing really hard and hammering very precisely, and also trying to very politely say at all the right times.
I'm not role-playing Trill because I am Trill. There are moments where it's very much role-playing. That's an obnoxious character right there.
Yeah.
See, that's why these games are great, is that you get to be obnoxious and people tolerate it. It's the best.
And it's fun.
What a dream. And it's fun. It's great. So Trill, I imagine, carries this leather armor back to Crow's Casks and shares the rest of this late night with Vadim and Norman.
Yeah.
And as Mag goes to sleep, something happens.
So Mag finds her way back to a spare room, sort of modest accommodation at the Dawnflower Library with Vandy, her mentor and her guide. And with her brow still wet with tendrils of wet hair plastered in place from the sweat of the day, she falls asleep. And our view moves slowly down from ceiling height to tighten first on her upper body, then her face, and at last her eyes. And as we see the hair stuck along her brow, a single bead of sweat rolls down her face. And we dissolve into that same face, though now we see that it's younger, perhaps 14 or 15 years old. Tendrils of wet hair still cling to her forehead, but we realize this time that it is from rainwater, as a hazy rushing sound resolves into the menacing drumbeat of a roaring rainstorm. There's a flash of lightning, and Mag's eyes widen. They race first left, and then right, and then up, and then they widen again as she draws a sharp, sudden, terrified breath. A thunderclap follows, and we see Mag, younger and thinner, but already strikingly tall and broad-shouldered, outlined against the exterior wall of a modest log cabin. Drenched by the downpour and lit by moonlight alone, practically bursting out of a worn leather lumberjack's jerkin she seems to have squeezed into as makeshift armor, clinging to the handle of an old axe, whose chipped, rusted, rain-soaked head she thrusts before her as if she's been told to use crafter's tools to ward off the wind. That wind picks up instead, lashing rain across Mag's vision as she stares out into the murk, thrusting the axe head clumsily before her. And even through the howling gale, there it is. She can still hear it, whatever it is, moving through the woods by her family's homestead, skulking this way and that, staying just deep enough in the forest to be obscured from view, but near enough for branches to sway and crack visibly overhead. Heavy, menacing breathing, somewhere between a pant and a roar, seems to draw nearer and recede. Draw nearer and recede. What are you? Mag asks frantically for what feels like the 1,000th time, the 5,000th, the 10,000th. What under the gaze of Saren Ray makes a noise like that? The gale rises again, and an enormous conifer cracks and crashes aground, splintering the top rail of the wooden fence line marking the arbitrary perimeter of her family's latest makeshift homestead. As the timbers shatter against one another, sending a cloud of debris flying in all directions, Mag instantly knows 4 things with heart-stopping, mind-bending clarity. First, she knows that the tree hasn't been broken by wind, but by something massive careening into it, the same massive thing that lurks in the woods and haunts her. Second, she knows that it has chosen what it's done, chosen a tree of a certain height and placement such that it will fall close to the cabin but not into it, chosen a moment of high wind to create the illusion of an accident. Third, she knows the ruse will work, that upon surveying the damage the next morning, her father will take the scene in, stoic and stone-faced, declare it another in a series of coincidences and close shaves, and shut down Mag's protestations with a wordless glare for want of any evidence of conscious and malign intent. And lastly, worst of all, Mag knows that whatever is in the woods knows all of this too. The tree and timing and angle of impact have been chosen not just to evade detection, but specifically to agonize her. And that as a result, they will. Another bolt of lightning flashes overhead, and Mag feels that rush in the center of her chest. That liquid release in the muscles around her heart. That rush she feels more and more frequently as she grows older. That rush of fury inside her that brings her body thrumming electrically to life with blood-borne power. That rush that is the only response to her torment she is permitted, because it lives only inside her. Because it is hers, and hers alone. And enmeshed in the strange, inchoate rage inside her that she barely understands, she screams into the darkness, "What are you?" A clap of thunder rips through the night as if in answer, and once again Mag thrusts the axe defensively in front of her, sinking into the wild, undisciplined crouch of a desperate, cornered amateur. But this time, she glimpses anew the hand grasping the upper end of the axe handle, and she suddenly sees, to her horror, that 4 of the fingers on her hand are somehow gone, shorn cleanly off at the joint. As lightning flashes once more, we see Mag's face rent with shock and revulsion behind the twisted silhouette of the mangled hand as she holds it up to examine it. She closes her eyes in terror, torrents of rainwater running down her face in sheets. And as Mag's eyes burst open, shot blood red with rage, a second thunderclap unfurls into the blackness to cover the sound of Mag screaming once more into the gloom, "What do you want from me?" Back in the room where she's sprawled asleep across the surface of another hard and unforgiving bed, the question escapes Mag's unconscious lips, spoken just loud enough to awaken her from the shallow and benighted sleep that is her only thin escape. It is the same question she is always asking. Of her parents, of her schoolmates, of her guardians and her gods, of the unseen tormentor stalking her from the darkness at the edge of the wood, and now of her newfound comrades hunting for the truth in the dark, accursed depths beneath the ancient keep. What do you want from me? What do you want from me? What do you want from me?
Woo! Woo! Amazing. David, that was so intense.
Thank you.
More like dew point. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That was like a dew point J.
Oh.
No, not Jay.
Oh, I got feelings. Whew.
I want to know what is stalking her.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's just in her head, guys.
I just want to give Mac a big hug. Ooh.
It's Moon Day, the 26th of Gazran. It's around 8 o'clock in the morning. Mid-50s, scattered showers here in the town of Otari as the 4 of you rouse from your sleep sounds like all of you may be a little bit worse for wear, whether you overindulged at Crow's Casks or had a horrifying nightmare.
Trill only had one drink. It was already late.
Trill wakes up
Trill's
feeling great.
Yeah, Trill's fine.
I got new spells.
Trill's going to be the first one to notice that that in addition to the sound of rainfall pelting the ceiling above her, the cobblestone streets to just outside her window, and the harbor at the bottom of the hill, she also hears an insistent sort of sound that as she looks out the window, she's convinced is coming from the lighthouse.
Yeah, that can't be good.
So where are you guys meeting up?
Well, Trill, she walks out of Crow's Casks and heads down the street to Crook's Nooks for some snooks. Yeah.
And you get the feeling like the snooks taste particularly delicious today. Maybe it's just that. Maybe it's like the rainy weather kept people like delayed the preparation of these pastries a little bit, and you're getting them particularly fresh. Perhaps it's just that the moist air helps hold the moisture of these salmon pastries in. But
has the dew point gone up?
I don't know. If it's raining, what is the dew point?
Yes, the dew point does go up if it's raining, yes.
Okay, so it's like a J.
Because, you know, it's
J.
raining.
Yeah.
Maybe a K.
And you're able to settle in underneath the awning outside Crook's Nook for a pretty peaceful breakfast.
Yeah.
But this still is just sort of nagging at the back of your head.
Yeah. Trill kind of keeps poking around the side of the building to see if she can see over the river that runs through town, looking back towards the lighthouse, see if she can see any light from the lighthouse heading over towards the town.
Absolutely. It's even stronger than it was yesterday. This thing looks like it is on the verge of firing. And you have not heard it make a sound before. The people that you see walking by as you're enjoying these mid-morning snooks look terrified.
Trill throws a couple in her bag and books it up to Rin's.
And I would say as she gets up to Rin's, a sort of bed-headed Norman stretches and is sort of uncomfortably cursing at his shoes, which he always hates wearing, stepping out the front door to greet the day.
Norman, sorry, I'll talk quieter. Norman, I think we gotta hit the road fast. I don't even, where do we start today? There's so many things we need to do, but that lighthouse looks bad today.
I think maybe we should start with one more lay on hands from Vadim. Has anyone seen him?
Vadim is coming up the road carrying a tray of sort of a morning pick-me-up coffee-ish drink from Crow's Casks that he's picked up, 4 of them for the entire party. Looking somewhat bedraggled in the worse for wear, clearly hasn't shaved this morning. And as he arrives, he says, "That sounds really, really bad. We should probably get going."
Oh, that armor looks good on you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it feels so much better. I can't even tell you. Has anyone seen Mag? I'd love to thank her.
And as Vadim says this, Mag emerges from down the road in the opposite direction. She has 2 large bags containing 24 snooks from Crow's Casks.
It's a lot of salmon.
And like a couple of those, I guess what's the equivalent of the Otari equivalent of a box of Joe? It's a very small wooden barrel with a tap in it.
Yeah, probably from the fishery. I think the fishery is your donkey over there.
Yeah. So, and on each of her shoulders is balanced a cask of coffee. And she she walks up and says, I trust you've all heard whatever that sound is.
Yes, not good.
That's definitely not good.
Do we go back to the lighthouse, or do we need to keep finding more of these artifacts?
I think I mentioned this last night, but Vadim and I were singing, and then Trill, you showed up, and you took the singing to another level. Anyways, the smuggler's place, where we think maybe Carmen is gone, it's north of here by a fishing place. We'll see that they've got all sorts of old campaign signs there, so we'll notice it when we get there. But I think maybe we go see if we can find this weapon.
I agree. I think if we're going to make it further and prevent what's going to happen, we'll probably need to get past that barrier. And in order to do so, we'll need to have the Rose Guard relics, I suppose. So it seems like that might be a good use of our time.
Has anyone had a chance to revisit the mayor?
We'll need something from Asephna, too, yeah.
See if perhaps a relic of Asephna's might be had from his estate? I would have done it, but there was so much crafting.
So my take would be, let's go up to the smuggler's area. I feel like if we go to the mayor and we have 3 of 4, we could be like, we need this last one.
I was literally about to say that, Zoe.
Okay.
That's a great idea.
I mean, I'm thinking in
melts.
terms of like travel time. Like North is headed up out of town toward the dungeon, but if we don't think we're going to get number 4 without number 3, it's like, are we going to lose an hour or two
We
or
got
whatever?
to show up to Menemez and show that we mean business.
Hello, we've slain your chief political rival. Please give us your heirloom.
Honestly.
Yeah.
It's a good pitch.
Or else.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys are heading to the place where they make the campaign signs.
Yep.
Which is to say the Smuggler's Refuge, about an hour north of town, just north of an abandoned fishing village. As you make this trek, the sound of mud squelching underneath your boots at first drowns out the ominous drone coming from the lighthouse. But eventually you get far enough away from the lighthouse that drone disappears completely. And you lose sight of the lighthouse for what feels like the first time in, say, 26 days.
Phew.
And you follow Yin Yasmira's directions north until you get to like a small cavern. You hear the sound of rain rushing all around you. You see the signs of an abandoned campsite here in front of you. The area the campsite that you see looks like it has not been used for quite a large number of days.
Mag would want to take a closer look and just, you say quite a number of days, if there's anything else to be gleaned about, or just to double check, is it really not fresh? I don't know if
any
that's
like new footsteps or
yes. I don't know if that's survival or if
Sure,
maybe
that's
maybe
survival.
Maybe some
Survival or perception?
Also, I think Norman would have cautioned everyone per Yin Yasmira's advice that like they try to stay as quiet and on the down low as possible, so that if there's someone in this cave, they can like try to sneak up on them.
It sounds like Mag is searching around the area and Norman is looking to try to sneak in.
Yeah.
What is Norman's stealth ranking? You're expert. So let's introduce a gameplay mechanic, and then we'll figure out what's going on with Mag in just a moment. Everybody has the option, if they would like to sneak along with Norman, everybody has the option to roll their own stealth check, or you can follow tight behind Norman and basically put your feet everywhere he puts his feet.
What better way to sneak?
This is something called follow the expert. You're trying to do something without any knowledge or skill, but you know that somebody that you're with does know how to do something, so you mimic them. So basically, if you follow the expert, instead of rolling the stealth skill, you roll a d20 plus your dexterity, because it's stealth, plus your level, as the proficiency bonus plus 2 for Norman. So essentially, what it means is you roll a d20, add your dexterity, plus 7. Armat, you had a question.
I was just going to say Vadim definitely wants to follow the expert.
Okay. So as Norman prepares to sneak in, Mag takes a close look. Which skill do you want to do, David?
I guess I'll do survival. Mag's curiosity would be most about if anyone's been here, sort of general tracking kind of stuff. And that appears to be a 26.
19 on the die for Mag as Mag's survival. I believe this is the second time you've rolled survival in this game, and it's the second time you've rolled a 19.
That checks out.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of when I throw stuff.
Right. So Mag, looking around this campsite area, like she sees footsteps with rain falling down into them. Somebody definitely has been here extremely recently. And as she's looking around, she sees a campaign sign sort of stashed away under a layer of mud on the way into this tunnel that you guys are standing in front of. And it says, man, I want to vote for that guy.
And then in parentheses underneath, for money that he's going to give me.
That's right. Written in Undercommon. Strangely enough.
Nang nang, bonobo.
Yeah. It's a picture of him, thumbs up, nang nang, bonobo.
But it means, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I want to vote for him.
Trill's... It's the exact same if Trill uses her own stealth versus follow the expert, because Trill is trained in stealth. So Trill's gonna just do her own stealth and go a slightly different path.
Okay. So what is Mag doing as Norman starts leading the way into this tunnel?
It might not surprise y'all to learn that Mag is not the stealthiest of gals when left to her own devices. So she will do this sort of follow the leader activity that you just described. And you said it was D20 plus Dex plus Stealth plus 2?
D20 plus Dex plus level plus 2.
Plus level
because
plus
Norman
2.
is an expert.
Okay.
So as 3 of you lock into sort of synchronous sneaking, and Trill starts picking her way through the underbrush, let's just get a sense of what everybody has rolled here. Let's start with Norman.
22 for Norman.
How about Mag?
26 for Mag. That was an 18.
Mag following Norman, being sneakier than Norman.
That's right.
I think it's
right.
kind of psyching Norman out to have baby ducks behind him. Like when
Sure.
you're sneaking and you've got 2 people falling into lockstep, I feel like that's probably distracting.
Whereas there's a reason that they called her Mimic Mag in grade school. All she needs is just to see someone else performing a physical activity in front of her, and she can just perfectly replicate it. You'd barely know there was an absolutely giant woman traipsing through the underbrush.
Sneaking on the other side of the entrance, Trill gets a 19.
Okay, pretty
And
good.
Bringing up the rear, Vadim, his hangover clearly interfering with his ability to see what to do properly,
Uh-oh.
got a 2 on the die roll for a 13.
Got it. You step into a cavern that opens up as Norman and Trill lead the way, the rest of you following behind. And you hear the sound of dripping water and like a campfire. You can smell the smoke from a campfire as you pick your way through this cavern. You see some broken crates all around you, and after about 30 or 40 feet in, you see that there is a campfire going on right now. And you see around this campfire, you see Carmen Rajani sitting on a log. I'm going to give everybody
Two hero points.
1 hero point.
Oh!
I'm going to give everybody 1 hero point for getting to this point where you see Carmen Rajani sitting on this log.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
But you see Carmen Rajani sitting here on... No, you can't have another. Sitting here on this log. He's gazing at what you recognize as the cooperative blade as it rests across his lap. He looks conflicted, like he can't believe that he's holding this sword. And he is occasionally sighing and cracking his neck. And the second time he turns his neck to the side and you hear the sound of his bones cracking, Vadim stumbles into a crate and knocks it over and spills even more campaign signs all over the floor.
Oh, Vadim.
And Trill says, "Oh, Vadim." And both of those two things alert Carmen to your presence. And he looks up and sees the two of you as Norman and Mag remain in the shadows.
No.
He jumps back and tries to position himself behind a crate in a defensive position. And he yells out, "You can't have it. I know the mayor sent you. You can't take it back. It's mine."
No, he did not send us. We are not here because of him at all. We are here to work with you because we want you to help us save the town. We are here because that is such an important artifact and we need your help, Carmen. We need you to help us.
And Carmen looks like he's thinking this over for a moment. You see this light sort of flickering against his face. He's holding the sword out in front of him, and you see that he has a number of small hammers held around his belt. And he looks like he's thinking for a moment about what it is that Trill is saying. And then he sees Vadim. He says, You're that one who thinks he's a big shot. You got in my face. You mocked me because you have a sword and I didn't. Well, guess what? I do have my sword now. And you're gonna get a taste of it before I take yours from you. And he runs towards Vadim, recklessly trailing the sword behind him. And I need everyone to please... Roll for initiative.
Oh, my
So, here's the deal. Norman and Mag both have this stealth roll. The 26 for Mag and the 22 for Norman. If you want to, you can use that roll as your initiative.
Yes, please.
Okay. Trill, it sounded like, was trying to do diplomacy to Carmen to try to soothe him.
Yes, she was.
So if Trill wants to, she can roll diplomacy for initiative.
Thank you.
And Vadim can roll perception or use that 13 if he really wants to.
I think I'll take my chances with the perception roll.
Sorry, you said Trill could roll occultism for initiative, yeah?
That's right. That's right.
Always occultism.
Trill can add her oddity identification bonus if she wants to.
Great. My favorite.
Because she's reading Carmen like a book, baby.
Heyo.
So, how did everybody roll their initiative? Let's start with Robin. Robin, did you roll
Well,
diplomacy for initiative? How did Trill do?
I did roll diplomacy for initiative, which is great because it's slightly better than Trill's perception. And I got a 20 on the die.
Oh, snap.
So that is a 33.
33. That means Trill is first in the lineup. How did Armat do?
Did okay. Got a 10 on the die, plus 10 is a 20 for initiative.
And it's maybe worth mentioning that Vadim, in spending a night, dropped his drain condition from 3 down to 2, but Vadim's fortitude is still dinged from having his life drained away from him by the Cairn Whites. How did Norman do?
Norman had
We already knew.
a 22 from that earlier stealth.
Using that stealth. Got it. And how did David? You used that earlier stealth roll too. So you where are you?
Yes, Magdaruna Twinkletoes Skull Crusher is in at a 26.
Okay. Carmen rolled a 16 on his initiative, which makes me really upset because he has essentially surprise attack. He has the same thing that Norman does. Anybody he goes before in the first round, he can catch flat-footed. Looks like that's not happening.
We could delay until after him. Would that help?
I don't think it would. Rules as written, it would not help, but I do appreciate your consideration.
All right, just trying to,
Oh, maybe it would help, actually. You could do it. Yeah, you can totally do that. Go
Okay.
ahead and delay.
I want Lars to get to play with all of his toys for a while before we smash them.
I know. I always feel so bad.
I know. I still want them smashed, but I want him to get,
I don't want to smash Lars,
no.
right? No.
Just his
Well, too bad. Here it comes. Time to beat me up. It's Trill's turn. It's the top of round 1. Here's the situation on the battlefield. Norman and Mag are ducked around a corner in this natural cavern that has been used as a sort of smuggler's depot over the years. They're tucked around a corner, able to keep one eye on Carmen as he is pressed up against the far eastern wall of this little refuge. Trill and Vadim are standing right out in the open, about 50 to 55 feet away from Carmen, and that's where we're going to pick up. It's the top of round 1. It is now Trill's turn.
Trill, as soon as he starts running for Vadim, she pulls her lute to her body and starts slamming out on those sweet, sweet chords to embolden everyone. So let's do that lingering composition check. And that's a terrible lingering composition check. That was only a 16.
So that's a failure. You don't spend the focus point, but your Inspire Courage will only last for 1 round.
Okay, so 1 round of Inspire Courage. Sorry, it's just 1 round.
It's all right. Thank you, Trill.
And
well.
as
Thank you,
she's
Trill.
jamming out on her Inspire Courage, she changes the tune then into something a little bit more psychedelic and cast Daze with her last 2 actions on him to try and trip him up a little bit as he's running.
So these psychedelic chords slam into Carmen, and he grabs his head and goes, ah, ah, and rolls a 24.
Ah, darn. So that was that.
Well, he's going to take half damage, so you can go ahead and roll damage.
Oh, he does take some damage. Cool. So Trill rolled, so it was an 11.
Okay, so he's going to take half that damage. So he goes, ah, and a small trickle of blood starts running down his nose
Nice.
as Mag, in the shadows behind Norman, leaps into action.
Mag had some hope that maybe, as disagreeable as this character can be, that they might be able to just talk sense into him and take the blade. And so in her disappointment at his kind of just intractable, brittle response to them, she rages. And with her second and third actions, it's going to be a sudden charge from Mag. I guess unfortunately, Carmen has sort of backed himself into a corner here, so there isn't even any way to set up a flank.
He sees Mag running towards him, and he freaks out. He shouts at Vadim. He says, "So you brought your big friend, did ya?" As Mag is barreling towards him.
And as she reaches his side and prepares to strike, she screams, "Yes!" 24 to hit.
And you just barely catch him in his shoulder.
Oh, thank you, Trill.
Yeah, absolutely. It's only because of the Inspire Courage that's going to hit.
Yep.
Buff, buff, buff.
And that is not a great roll, but a total of 17 damage.
And he just looks at you and starts seething. "This is my sword!" And then Norman, hearing that echo around the room, leaps into action.
So I like to think Norman had chompers out with him because he was sneaking. He knew this guy was here. So he is going to fire off a quick 2 arrows to try and hit this guy.
And this guy's going to be flat-footed to both of those because you're acting before him.
I feel like after Joel Mesman, Norman is done giving people the benefit of the doubt. And that is 33 to hit.
Yeah, that's a critical hit.
Dang.
Okay.
Wow.
So that is 18 damage. Not the world's best critical hit, but
18 damage as you critically hit him, but this is a critical hit with a bow, which means that he gets pinned. You get part of his leather, and it pins him to one of these rotting crates, and he starts pulling against it as he struggles to see past Mag into the darkness, and he's completely caught off guard.
You're not going anywhere with that sword. We need it. And Norman fires another bow. That time for a mere 13.
So the second arrow misses as we got one more Norman action.
And Norman pulls out a scroll.
Okay. So as Norman grabs the scroll, Vadim sees Carmen staring at him with murderous intent. What will he do?
So Vadim already has, I think, the Dagger of Venom and Vigilance in his hands. And he just kind of cracks his neck, gives the dagger and Vigilance a quick spin of the wrist, and looks at him and says, I don't get it, man. You're acting like there is some kind of us. You don't even exist to me, man. And he charges in and then makes an attack with Vigilance at him. And that is a 23 to hit.
And that 23 to hit misses.
Ooh. It's a 23, though. What about the rule of 23s?
I know you want it, but no, it misses. He sees you coming, and he manages to push your arm out of the way.
Ugh, whatever. And Vadim seems completely not stressed about this, and he was like, "Oh, I really gotta lay off the crow's casks," and that's his turn.
Very cash.
Rajani looks at Vadim and says, "You will take me seriously." And he reaches forward to grab him by the neck.
Doesn't he have to unpin himself from the wall?
He does not. He's just not going to be able to move. He is stuck to the wall. He's not moving. He's reaching again. He's pulling against his armor, reaching towards Vadim and grabbing him with a 29 versus Fortitude DC.
Well, that's definitely going to connect. That's a critical success, in fact.
And he manages to reach past Vadim's neck, grab both of his wrists, and has him grabbed like a turkey on Thanksgiving. And he brings up the cooperative blade as Vadim is immobilized and restrained and brings it straight down to Vadim's neck. And we will pick up from there.
Whoa.
Next time.
While pinned to a wall. I mean, that's pretty badass.
Man, what a dick.
The Roots of Ruin is a Tabletop Gold production produced under the Paizo Incorporated Community Use Policy. The Roots of Ruin uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Inc., used under Paizo's Community Use Policy. We are expressly prohibited from charging you to use or access this content. Paizo does not recognize, endorse, or sponsor this project in any way. Original characters and content are the property of Tabletop Gold. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, visit paizo.com. We at Tabletop Gold would love to hear from you. Email us at letters@tabletopgold.com and find all our social links at tabletopgold.com.